happiness. Liz, I think you're muted.
There we go. I didn't do the window capture either, so we're really on a roll today.
Ooh, I'm gonna do that today.
No! No!
Yeah, I noticed that we're a little all over the place.
No! I don't know what you're talking about. You know, everything's fine.
We were busy checking out my new candle.
This was just a throwback to our first ever everything.
Yes.
Am I about to dox myself? A little. It's fine. You know, it's okay.
You're fine.
It's alright. It's okay. Eventually, we're gonna figure out a better system for this, and by we I mean me. Do 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 do.
Do, do, do.
Do 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 do. We're
getting a little lost in the sauce.
Play a game of
da da da.
now. Who did it?
Da 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 da.
Not make an effort to make their beings look like human beings, but make them look like just horrible abominations.
Yes. And I would name them like AA01, and then it's like AB02 or something like that, like they were aliens.
This one streamer was doing Metopia when it first came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, her character looks so cool. I realized she had imposed like glasses on her where her eyes would normally go, but moved her eyes to like the top of her head, so it looked like this really cool bandana with like eyelashes coming off. I was like, how do people think of that? I'm so boring. It just making me.
Yeah. Like, this game wouldn't give me any eyebrows, so I made them using angled sunglasses. What are you doing? Nobody asked you. No one's paying you to do this. No one's paying you to do this much
people
extra.
are good at making those custom design things for
Yes.
crossing, and I'm like, I don't get this. How are you able to just look at like a square of beige and just make it look like sand? I don't understand.
Matt Mercer made a flipping like summoning circle on his Animal Crossing island. It's hilarious.
The amount of fury I felt when Julian made a perfect custom design of a pizza rat on his first night playing Animal Crossing.
Oh, I know, but Julian's just so talented with these.
I was like, I literally could never.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Yes. I hope.
Yeah, we are. It's true.
Cool. Can never tell. Hi. Okay. First, why are we in a hype train? What did y'all do?
We all just resubbed.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. It's gonna yell at you. You know, there's something energy to it today. Maya, I'll yell at you though. All right, Kristen. All right. See, y'all were just gonna get away with it. Why are you promoting violence?
I don't think we're doing anything.
So anyway, last session.
I encourage violence.
Okay. Yeah, I think violence can be good, a fun activity. Okay. Last session was a lot. We resumed at the after celebration of Allura's coronation, Tessa's sister. And in the midst of everything, first of all, Mephisto appeared to Raven. And
I forgot that happened at the beginning of
yeah, it was a lot going on. Mephisto appeared to Raven, and they had a conversation. And Raven, instead of taking Mephisto's offer, decided to decline it and refused to hand over the stones, and Mephisto let her go. So Raven forfeited, having broken essentially her pact. Raven has forfeited her warlock abilities and the protections that a patron has. After that, the party sort of talked, celebrated a little bit more, and then all hell kind of broke loose. There was an enormous sort of screeching from the distance as a horde of imps began to just dive down into the party. It's snatching up some people, killing others, attacking the general party folk. The party immediately leapt to action, defending as many people as they could. Tide was grabbing some of the kids and people who were getting just kind of like caught in the chaos and getting them to safety. Raven sort of stayed off to the side with an undead warrior that Renori resurrected to protect her, with Raven now having no powers. And Renori, Faustus, Casper, Tessa, and Allura, who is, she revealed that she's a bow and arrow, and she was also helping, all started fighting back against the infernal forces that were invading. After that, however, a portal of swirling seawater opened up onto the party, and through it strode a 6-foot-tall, pretty burly man with thick black hair, a sort of tattered coat, sort of boots, and the edges of his coat as well, like kind of encrusted in barnacles. We established he was hot. A lot of DILF comments were made, but it was Raven tried to sit on his lap. She was allowed to live.
On his face.
The sitting didn't work out, but she was allowed to live, so that was a win. And for the first time, we met Captain Hugo Stormborn, who had apparently come to collect something from Tessa. Tessa, in a panic, completely... She froze up as he appeared, and everybody kind of looked to her for answers like, who the fuck is this guy? And she, on a panic, teleported everybody back to the ship. And the truth of the matter came out. Alicia, alright.
I should have looked at chat. I'm sorry, but it just broke me so much. Okay.
Alicia, alright. After arriving back at the ship, the truth sort of came out that Tessa's story from earlier was bullshit, and that a lot of the holes that the party had pointed out in her story were actually because it didn't make sense. The stones are not just results of the planes, but in fact, Tessa made them. There was a lot that happened, and a lot of it requires timeline, and I'm not going to go through it piece by piece, but it essentially, Tessa's father and Elian's father, because they're twins, became sick, and both of them really didn't want to lose him, and they worked together to create one of the stones to give him enough energy to come back. After that, their forest started to deteriorate, and another one was created to help bolster the forest's energy because it was their homeland. And from there, more shit just sort of unfolded. Understandably so, Tessa, the party was furious at Tessa, and so thus the question became what to do. And we're going to pick up about an hour or two after the initial outburst of conversation. Tessa had been locked in the brig after arriving back on the ship last time due to her immediate danger. And that is where she still is. She's pressed up into the back corner of her cell, clutching very tightly to that blanket that Ripley had given her at the very end of last session. Just sort of sitting, not really saying anything. Casper and Faustus are sitting down in the brig as well on the right side of the bars. Well, Faustus, you don't have to be sitting, but that's where you are. Just sort of keeping watch. Above deck, we can talk about where everybody else went, because I know Renori left, Raven left, Tide. I will let you choose where you were. But let's catch up with where you are first before we settle down with anybody in specific. This is like, we're going to just say 2 hours after the initial conversation to make sure our characters really had some time to think.
Or are we starting with me?
Anybody.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody had specific, like, ideas of...
I'll go.
Go.
You
go.
You weren't here last week, so you go first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you are such a little poop. Okay.
Get him with that. Just take down.
You're such a little poop.
You said you love poop! Oh my god.
I saw this TikTok where it was just like, my DM does the BBEG monologue, and like, me sucking at improv is just like, will you smell?
Anyway, I'll go, I guess. I can't believe I said that. Okay, so Renori would have left, and gone up. It's daytime, right?
It is.
So, she probably would have, I just love how shameless Renori is. She probably would have gone into the captain's quarters. It's her room now. Let's be honest, it's hers. He stays there. And plot twist.
Is Renori still horny? God.
No, she's going. Casper's staying downstairs.
Well?
No, she's going to be like alone to think. People, I need y'all to. Oh my.
Bless him.
Okay,
Oh,
so
that
anyway.
mute was so fast, barely in time. Whew.
Oh.
Alicia never.
Okay, Alicia. So she would go into the captain's quarters and kind of like sit at the war table and pull out like kind of the map that's of the world at large.
Yeah.
And be looking at it, pondering all of the information that has come her way, honestly, since she stepped onto this ship, but especially recently with Tessa. If anyone were to peek in a window and see Renori, she would probably start crying at some point, just because this is a monumental, difficult thing for her, and she's not understanding what's happening because everyone on the ship who knows Renori knows that she doesn't give out her trust easily, and that once she does, if it's broken, you would expect her to turn to like just pure anger, but there's actually like she feels a deep sadness about it as well, and is trying to stay, and is now having a new struggle, because Saloon, the reason why she turned to Saloon was because of Tessa and what Tessa was modeling, and Tessa was helping her learn how to be kinder. Like, that is the person that Renori looked to know how to be a kinder, better person.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this huge life decision she made to become a cleric instead of a wizard moving forward came from admiring Tessa and wanting to emulate the best things about her. And so she would have a full-on breakdown in the captain's quarters, not wanting to, be around anyone else for that because it's all very raw.
Yep.
And once that she got the sense that both enough time had passed and also that she had gotten enough of her emotions out that she could be around some other people, she would slowly head back down towards where Casper and Faustus are. But there would be plenty of time to the point where she might be one of the last people coming back down. She probably would overestimate how long she should be away.
Okay. Tide, where you at?
Tide is also definitely going to go above deck. He really wants to be by the water. Like he thinks best when he can like smell the ocean and like feel kind of like the like when like the breeze hits you and like flecks of water like also hits you. And for something like what just happened, he needs to be in like the most comfortable position for him. So I would imagine that he would go and try to find a place pretty close to like the edge of the boat in terms of like left and right, port and starboard, or is that north and south? I don't know.
Fucking, who cares? The ship's words.
Well,
Left.
He's gonna be on the far right side, like towards the front of the boat, either sitting on something like a box, like a crate or a barrel, or if there's something like made into the boat that he would be sitting on, he'd be on that too. And he's not talking, which is out of sorts for him. Oh God.
No, please continue. Don't worry about this. That's fine.
And he is fiddling with the ring that's on his finger, not really doing anything, just kind of like spinning it around his finger. Because he kind of has like two big conflicts in his head right now. The first is understanding where Tessa was coming from in regards to her father, but that's actually kind of less, that's kind of like the lesser of the two conflicts. The bigger one is the fact that he really pushed for Tessa to join them and to be on this boat with everybody, and now he feels responsible for encouraging the trust of who's on the ship to Tessa, when the reality is none of them know her that well when she first joined. But he was like, yeah, let's bring her on. And now all this experience is really weighing on him, and he's kind of like just going back and forth between understanding of Tessa and reflecting on the things that Tessa has done for them in terms of saving him, as well as I think Renori at the tree that turns people into stone. Is that Renori?
I think that was Raven.
Raven.
Yeah.
And helping them find, like, keeping them safe when the whole wedding debacle happened, because they made a decision there, but also clearly this very large omission that she made. So he's not really sure what to think. Like, all of these thoughts are swirling in his head, which, as we all know, is very unusual, because usually he's very head empty.
Not this.
But so I think he's going to like be thinking about this for a while, like probably a good hour and a half, trying to decide what to do, and then eventually he will. But so this would be before Renori went down. He's gonna look for Laurel.
Okay. Laurel is up on the top deck. She was one of the first people to leave. when you all were down in the brig, and there was a lot of yelling back and forth, understandably. And Laurel seemed to, at some point, get extremely overwhelmed and kind of fled out of the brig. And so you would see her now that you're on the top deck. She's gone out onto the bowsprit, which is that pointed bit that comes out of the very front of the ship where it forms a triangle. And she is standing there, like, on it, as the ship kind of bobs up and down. And she's just kind of eyes shut. You see the wind just kind of like, she's still wearing the, like, a light yellow small dress that's just kind of blowing in the wind a little bit from the, because none of you have really had the opportunity to change, since you came back, and she's just standing there silent. What's up, Raven?
Raven, when she left, would have immediately also beelined for Laurel, so is, like, whoever gets there first.
Okay.
Raven
Raven
will
will give
eventually.
Yeah, as soon as, you're saying as soon as you came up, you would have gone to Laurel?
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, you would have found her first then. So, Tide, we'll come back to you in a second. We're just gonna start with Raven, since we know where Faustus is, and we're just gonna see what happens first. So, Raven, you slam out of the brig. Is that what you're doing? You're doing that immediately after, so, and then talking to her, and then you have your 2 hours.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so Raven would have prioritized getting that done.
Okay, so you find her not standing, but kind of just sitting on the bowsprit, facing away from everybody else, just looking at the sea.
Okay.
Her back is to you.
Raven is just going to, like, be like, hey, don't mean to startle you. I personally don't have the emotional capacity to talk through how you're feeling right now. I understand it's a lot. I just need to know, do you have the Zone of Truth spell? It's okay if you don't. I'm just curious.
I do.
Okay. I'm gonna go cry. But not in front. I don't feel comfortable doing that in front of you. But good luck. She's gonna make a U-turn and go straight for Fishhook.
Okay. You find your way down to the brig. Not the brig, sorry. The galley. Easy enough, and that's where he is.
Is he alone? Is there anybody else in there?
What time is it? It's probably now late afternoon. No, there's not really anybody in here.
Raven's just gonna be like, are you busy?
What's wrong?
Raven's immediately weeping. Just full tears, sobbing. She's like kind of like holding herself with her own arms. And she's just sobbing. She can't even like get words out. There's probably snot starting to like come out of her nose. And just like big blubbering mess.
So he was making, like, it looks like bread. Like, there's just this large piece of dough that's on the counter. And as soon as that happens, he immediately just takes, like, he has his apron on, smacks the flour off of his hands, and immediately comes over to you. And he does, like, one of those awkward, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to touch you, but he, like, you know, like...
Raven will, like, when he sees, like, his arms open up, I would assume, like, she'll just, like, walk into him so that, like, she can be held.
He just closes his arms around you. And he holds you for a while.
Yeah, so Raven will just sort of, like, let her emotionally just like calm down. She's not really like doing anything to make herself stop on purpose, but like eventually maybe like 5 minutes will sort of pass, and then she'll like, her face is like so hot at that moment, just because of like all, like it literally feels like all of her emotions were just like shooting out of her face. Um, and so she's just going to just be like, you know that like uneven breathing you do where it's like quickly 2 breaths in and then you like breathe out. Um, yeah. She's just doing that kind of silently, still like wanting to be held. She's not really like sobbing anymore. Um, but then she's just like, is this all for nothing?
Fishhook holds you unconditionally. And then when your voice reaches him, he pulls away slightly, not to put distance between you, but so that you can see his face. And goes, I don't necessarily know what is wrong right now, but I promise you this wasn't for nothing.
Just right now it feels like I made a huge mistake and I can't undo it. And like it's not like I wish I could undo it. It's just
Raven, if you care about something, it's not a mistake. Sometimes things don't always go how they should, but that doesn't mean that's on you. If you care about something, if you put your heart into something, it matters.
I I I can understand that. It just
It might not feel like it, and I know why. I'm not saying that you should feel a certain way. But if you care about something, it doesn't make it a mistake. Don't beat yourself up for something that's not your fault.
okay. Could I just stay in the back? I just don't want to be bothered by anybody right now.
Sure. He kind of
Yeah, you go.
he kind of just lets go, and he looks out the crew quarters, which are relatively empty. I mean, it's like probably like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, like somewhere in there. So
Yeah, will just sort of situate herself in the back of the kitchen, like probably next to where the cupboards are and
yeah,
stuff. And she's just really, I think that it's like that kind of anxious sadness you have when you're really worried that this is the beginning of the end of something.
mm,
I think that she's really worried that um the whole like what are we gonna do about Tessa thing is going to, and then on top of that, like she's concerned about like how people are going to react to what Mephisto was asking of her. And that
yeah.
it would mean that the it was all over and then she's going to be on her own. Without any kind of defenses or anything and without anything to protect herself. Um, and she's kind of like, but on top of that, she's like really afraid of losing her friends too. Um, and so it's like that, like oh no, like this is definitely the end, even though there's no possible way for someone to know that or anticipate that kind of thing. I think that she's just like bringing like this worst case scenario um kind of issue, and she's just also reeling over the fact that essentially the person who was a huge influence as to why she stopped um being a warlock ended up keeping this huge secret from her, um and it was like, so she feels just very lost and afraid, and so she's gonna stay there until it's time to go back.
Okay. There's just a silence, a comfortable silence of, not really silence, because Fisher goes back to, after a few moments, the bread that he was making. So there's like a steady rhythm of him working the dough. And then after a little while, you kind of see him, he drifts away from the dough. And there's a small cabinet kind of near where that dinner bell is. And he opens that up and he drifts back over to you and just kind of puts this over your shoulders. It's like a black, heavy black jacket. Nothing too fancy, but obviously his. And he just gives your shoulder a pat, and then he goes back to work. And we'll come back around to you. So, Renori, you spend your 2 hours crying, mood, and then you go back down. Raven, we'll come back to you. Tide, you go to Laurel. This is after Raven goes immediately after a while of thinking, on with just some open air. You find Laurel at the bowsprit, standing, as I had said.
So Tide's gonna walk up and just like tap her on the shoulder.
Oh, hi.
Hey, I know that you're new to all this and the ship and to us. So I'm sorry that this is kind of how it's turning out, but I wanted to ask you something.
Sure, anything.
What do you think we should do?
You want my opinion? Oh, well, to me, it seems like Tessa was very important to you. I mean, when I first got here, you all were so close, and it's clear that all of this it's a lot. I wasn't there, so I don't know how much of the good outweighs the bad, but I just could. I was thinking of my sister when she came back home after y'all saved her. She was a disgrace to our pod for what she did. And I still love her, obviously, but the pod had trouble deciding what to do. And they gave her a chance. And she's not anybody's favorite by far. I mean, she's an outcast still for all intents, but they took her back. And this is big. I mean, looking at what she did. She could have hurt a lot of people, and I'm not saying that needs to be swept under the rug. But to me, if y'all cared about her that much, trusted her initially and cared about her that much, to keep her here as long as you did, to go with her to an event for her family, to drink and laugh with her. I mean, I don't know. I saw, and maybe I'm just naive, but the way she was talking in that cell, she did evil things, but I don't know that she's evil. I didn't feel that from her. Tide, if you'll remember, Laurel, I don't remember if you were there for the episode where this came out, but Laurel has the ability to sense other people's emotions.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to remind you that. I didn't feel that from her. I had to leave that room because all it was just hurt and despair, right? But from everybody. I don't take my opinion with a grain of salt, Tide, but to me, she seemed like someone who had fucked up so royally that she could have hurt a lot of people, and I think that needs to be taken into account. But it does seem like she didn't do it with evil intent. I didn't sense that, and for the time that I've been here, I've never sensed that from any of you. So that's my thoughts, I guess.
I appreciate it. I asked because I know that you can sense malice and everything.
Right.
But I also asked because you're the newest here, and you don't have the history that we have with Tessa. That's valuable. We've spent a lot of time with her, and she's done things that have been incredibly helpful, but I just don't... This omission was so big. There's nothing... It's like all of it. It's just not there, and it's really hard for me to know what to do when I don't know if everything she did was in her own interest or for us, if it matters, because we're all still here and we're all still alive.
I mean, like I said, I mean, my best point of reference was my sister, because the people I grew up with in my pod, they probably wouldn't have cared if I had turned up dead. My sister was really the only other person who really looked out for me and cared about me, and when she did what she did to Casper, I mean, it didn't change the love I had for her, no matter how fucking disappointed I was. I mean, to trap somebody against their will into something that they didn't know about is a lot, and it seems that's kind of what Tessa did. She didn't tell you up front about this. There's the personal piece and the danger piece, but you don't owe anybody a second chance. Nobody does. But I think there's power in understanding when someone deserves one. And now I don't know, I haven't been with y'all, but if Tessa's never tried to hurt you, lied to you other than this, separate y'all, I mean, has she? Did she seem like a good person? You can only front that kind of thing for so long before it starts to fall apart.
I trust people very quickly. it hasn't always been that way, but I don't have a lot of friends, and I feel like I've let everybody down because I've trusted so quickly.
I don't think that's your fault. I think that that's something that could bite you in the ass, right? But I think that's a good trait to have. I don't think that's your fault, Tide. To me, I would rather trust someone 100 times and get hurt 99 out of the 100 than never trust anyone at all and live my life alone. You are very kind, and I see how your friends care about you. I don't think any of them could blame you for this, and if they did, I don't think they'd be right to. Don't take that on, Tide. You've got a good heart.
Ty just sound like quickly back to the fidgeting with the ring. And he'll kind of not make eye contact with her and just kind of keep looking down. We should probably head back.
Right, yeah. And she steps off the bowsprit and back onto the deck. And we're going to go to Faustus before everybody comes back. So 2 hours pass before, between now where we're about to come in. So what are you doing in these 2 hours? It's just you and you, Casper, and Tessa down in the brig.
So I think probably the first thing Faustus is going to do, because he's just sort of sitting there fidgeting, is he's going to reach into his pack and he pulls out that little golden hammer that still has wood stuck to it, and he just starts kind of whittling the chips of wood that are stuck to it off just to kind of clean it up.
Okay.
And then just kind of examines it a little bit, just kind of to distract himself, and then puts it back in his pack and pretty much just spends the next 2 hours tossing his knife up in the air and letting it come back down and catching it, pinching the blade and then flipping it, throwing it, he's just doing monotonous and dead silent. Doesn't say a word to Casper, doesn't say a word to Tessa, just sits there just flipping the dagger and just sort of thinking about everything that's gone on and trying to make sense of it. Kind of all on his own in the corner, which is was his MO before coming aboard with everybody, was just dealing with everything on his own. So he's kind of slipping back to that a little bit, I think, and is just sitting with his thoughts and flipping his dagger up and down.
Okay. Tessa does not move at all. Whether or not you're paying close attention, that is very obvious. As soon as Ripley, about 2 hours ago, had handed her that blanket, she snatched it up from her and just kind of pressed into that back corner, and she has not moved a muscle. Casper, in a less tense, more normal person way, has also not really moved. He's kind of just hanging up, back by the wall, one foot kind of just gently leaning, and every once in a while he just kind of watches, you see his eyes tracking the blade as you're tossing it, and then his gaze just flicks back over to Tessa where she's sitting. He just kind of has his hands in front of him, not really doing much. And 2 hours pass. We'll say probably Tide gets there first with Laurel. The two of you climb down all through the layers of the ship down to the brig where the trapdoor is still open. Casper's there, so there's no need to shut it. So you are able to pass down into the brig. Raven, are you heading back, or are you just staying with Fishhook?
I think that Raven will start to slowly head back, like once the 2 hours are kind of like completing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if it's possible for Raven to run into Wesley.
He's with you. He doesn't leave your side.
Oh, he doesn't leave me?
Yeah, he's your bestie.
Okay. Good to
That's
know.
adorable.
Yeah, he literally always assume unless you Wesley's gonna kind of act as a familiar, but he can't take any actions. Like he's with you.
Wesley,
Oh,
Wesley
I
is
love
our
that.
sprinkle, Jake.
Yes.
Where you forget sprinkles there.
You will always forget that he's there, although he's not ferret sized.
Um,
That would be
so
a horrifically large crab.
That would be a very big crab.
she kind of just like pulls Wesley out from like her pocket or wherever he's just like chilling out, and she's just like, "What do you think? Did I make a huge mistake?" Wait, Wesley went with me to see
Wesley literally always assume Wesley is with you.
Okay. She'll just be like, "What do you think? Did I make a
He's
huge
getting crushed a little bit in that hug.
Like, he just like
He's forgotten I'm here again.
it's like he's fine. He finds his way out of hugs pretty easily.
God.
Be kind of sad if you accidentally killed him. So he's aware of it.
No.
He's aware of it.
Literally, if Wesley accidentally dies like that,
I would never. Listen, I am not Matt Mercer. I would never.
Oh.
You know Matt would.
Oh.
Anyway,
Good.
I would never. I love him.
Just thinking about
Good.
sprinkles.
He's just a little guy.
Crap.
Emotional support crab. He kind of, so you reach your hand. I like to imagine he kind of hangs out on your shoulder pretty often. And you kind of, bring him around to the front. He's like, no, Raven, I don't think you made a mistake. I mean, I think I trust people really easily because, I mean, I just want to have friends, and I don't get to spend a lot of time around people that like to talk to me, but I saw the way that your friends care about you, and that Tessa cared about you, and I don't think that you did anything wrong. I think people hurt you because they're upset with themselves, or they make mistakes and they don't think about what they do to other people. But I don't think that's your fault. I think you're a good person. You looked at me and you said that you told me that there is value in me, and you let me come with you, knowing that it could be dangerous. And I think that says a lot about who you are. That you would give me that kind of chance. And I don't think you should let somebody else make you feel bad about the good things in you. It's not fair. He kind of does like a little crab pout.
Raven's just going to give him like a little kiss on like wherever the crab equivalent to a forehead would be.
Yeah, there's a little spot on top.
And she's just going to say, "Leslie, if it ever seems like I'm hurting someone because of how I feel about myself, just don't ever feel like you can't call me out on that. I don't... If I could prevent... I just don't want to make other people feel like this."
You got it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then she'll sort of like place him back on her shoulder as she descends
Okay.
back to the brig.
So, Tide, Laurel, you come down a few minutes later. Raven comes down, and then finally Renori finds her way down as well. Ripley does not return. And Boomstick does not return. All of you are in this room, and it seems like once all of you have gathered, You're all standing around. What are we doing? It seems like this is who's coming.
So, did anybody make any decisions, or did you just cry like I did?
I cried. So
Yeah. Cool.
I didn't cry.
Hi.
Raven will just like give Tide a little hug, like side awkward hug, just like. You want to borrow Wesley?
Renori is gonna turn towards Faustus in the corner. And actually just go walk over to him. To have an aside. She's not gonna be talking like loud enough for like, I mean, obviously, you know.
I mean, you're all here. It's not like it's not a tiny
Yeah.
space, so you could have a conversation, but everybody sees you.
Yeah, no, it's not a secret, you know, but it's like
Okay.
it's very much so like an intentional, like, I just want to talk to him for a second, you know.
Raven rolled a 25 on insight, so she's just gonna be like,
Oh, you're just
okay,
observing.
No, she's just like, I want to see like if Renori wants to talk like more on a one-on-one type of situation, and so when she senses that, she's just going to take Wesley out and just be like, just be like trying to comfort Tide like with Wesley as like a distraction.
Okay.
What did you just roll?
Tide also rolled an insight, and he rolled a nat 1.
Oh boy.
So he does not know she wants to be alone. So-
I think Raven's going to do her best to like distract Tide.
Tide, wait, look! Look, guys, like,
Let's
To be fair,
borrow
he has-
Wesley.
He has a +8 on insight, so like it could be worse. So I think Tide is gonna like walk over like he's a part of this conversation, but is amenable to Raven like pulling him away. Like no.
Okay.
Hey, Tide, can you leave us alone?
Uh,
Just for a second.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Renori's just gonna be like, and then once Tide steps away, she'll turn back to Faustus. So, how are you feeling?
I guess I'm not unaccustomed to people I've put trust in not holding up their end. So this is sort of, I guess, par for the course. So maybe it hasn't hit me as hard as the rest of you. This is what happens when you trust people, I guess.
Betrayal is always a risk of when you trust someone. That's true. And I can understand why it might not feel surprising for you, but I guess I don't know what I want to ask. Other than that, I don't understand why you want to come down so hard with the hammer all the time, I guess.
Well, in this case, our acquaintance over here, Tessa, has made it clear that she doesn't have control over these stones that she's making. So, in the sense of not wanting the fabric between our plane and the plane and elemental planes to be decayed any further, I think it would be in our best interest to remove her from the equation. But I'm open to other options. I'm not going to. I guess perhaps I've learned maybe a little something about trust from watching Tessa not do it right. So I'm not going to go off half-cocked without the backing.
Half-cock.
Oh my.
Without the backing of everyone else in the crew. I mean, I'm not going to slit her throat in the night if that's what you're worried about.
No, I don't want you to think that that's what I was thinking of you. I am approaching you.
I've slit a lot of throats in the night, so
No,
it wouldn't be an
no.
unreasonable assumption.
Oh, and I don't mean to insult you by you thinking that perhaps I believe that that is not something you're capable of. I know you have and you will again. But I am just more so wanting to be considerate of where you stand. It feels like we're all a little all over the place, but I don't know that many people stop and really listen to what you want. And I think a lot of that is because, at least I know from my end, I'm trying to not go to that place personally ever again. I'm just checking.
To what place? The place of intense judgment and bringing down the hammer, as it were.
I suppose so. You know, I'm an abrasive person and dislike most people. And am trying to not be that way because that it is my gut instinct. So I guess when you bring up those points, it's like, oh yeah, well that is still an option. So, you know, just feeling out what you're thinking.
I'm thinking that now that all of the cards are on the table, it seems to me like perhaps there has been some hesitancy on Tessa's part to actually push towards the conclusion of this little venture to collect the stones. So now that we're aware of that, I think perhaps there's a chance that we're actually freed to move a little bit more decisively towards what we need to do, which is get these damn stones in that mirror so we can be done with this and resume our lives. I'd like to do a little more piracy, a little bit less world saving personally, but that's just me.
Well, no, that seems sort of right.
But you can't do piracy if there's no sea to do piracy on. So
that is correct. There is, you know, a level of priorities out there. Okay.
Look, I can change the color of his eyes. And like a raven, just like thaumaturgy on.
Oh my
god. Like she's trying really hard to like make Tide feel better, and like she's just like trying to come up with like little tricks.
I thought you were interrupting them in their conversation.
Interrupting them. It's just like all of a sudden you could hear Raven just like try her hardest to just be like.
Okay, well, how this works. I like to imagine this as rather than you physically changing his eye color, it's like a light sort of deal, and just have a disco crab because he's translucent.
Nice. Yeah, she's just like, and like I want to imagine like Wesley's like doing like little spins.
Crab rave.
Like in my hand, just like.
He's doing a little crab rave. Yeah, he is the crab rave.
Oh my gosh! Just I don't know if anyone's going to get this reference, but the crab party in season 2 of Fantasy High. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Why do I not remember the crab party? I've watched
Where
that
they
entire.
ate all of the crab, and they're like crab. Crab.
Yes, okay, now I remember.
Anyway.
So after Renori kind of feels like she doesn't know what to say anymore, she's gonna turn around to the rest of the room and just kind of throw her hands up. So, there is quite literally an elephant in the room. Okay, not actually an elephant.
I think you mean quite figuratively.
Yeah,
I-
you know, I didn't finish school because it got destroyed. So,
Casper chuckles a little bit.
I didn't finish school because I stole something and got kicked out.
very different stories, Faustus.
I didn't finish school because I was homeless.
I didn't go. It's Casper. Since we're all just sharing.
Ty, what's your educational background?
I finished school.
Fishhook was my school.
Major in
Water.
Yeah,
Suppose you
Raven-
could say I did finish school, the School of Hard Knocks.
God damn it, guys.
So, the way that I see it, we've got Raven playing Wesley like a disco crab. We've got... You know what? Never mind. Then Renori, takes a deep breath. We have a human being, or, well, a person. I don't mean to presume. Tessa. Is Tessa an elf?
Tessa's a half elf.
We have a half elf, a
human person.
sentient feeling person sitting in this room, outnumbered, unable to protect themselves, awaiting our judgment. We all got to take our time and think about it while Tessa marinates in all of it, and I think that's pretty shitty.
Well, I think it's alright for her to marinate for a little bit.
Fair.
But I take your point. I take your point. It doesn't make
just-
sense to just sit here inactive indefinitely.
Yes, that's more so what I'm getting to, is that dilly-dallying around benefits none of us. So has anyone had any revolutionary thoughts, or are we just gonna stand here and go round and round?
Raven kind of lowers Wesley, but she forgets to dispel the cantrip, so he's
He's
still
so
glowing.
Crabbe.
But she's just we can't cast any magic down here. I think that just keeping her here for more information and then eventually being held accountable to her own people, especially, but also whoever else this affected is important too. I'm fine with just frankly keeping
I think there's a reasonable chance that our odds of succeeding in getting all of the stones and getting them into this mirror and destroying them are actually probably, he rolls his eyes, probably higher with at least letting Tessa out. Because she's the one who's able to tell us where they are, and none of the rest of us are able to cast teleport. So it may be necessary that we let her atone in a more active way by helping to undo what she's done, as much as that chafes me.
The way I've seen it, the way that I've felt about it from the beginning, is that Tessa committed crimes, mistakes. A more religious person might say sins, I don't know, prior to ever having known us. And yet, we are holding her on trial as if it was a personal attack. I personally like to believe in second chances. I also like to believe in that someone doesn't get an opportunity to grow and change if they're not given that space. How can someone make up for what they've done if they're not given the chance to do that? She might not be able to, but she can sure as hell try.
To be clear, Raven, I would also be fine with letting her rot in that cell, but our success in the mission we're trying to accomplish is likely going to be enhanced if we work with her until it's done, at least.
Well, that's fine. We can bring her out. It's just during the downtime. And she'll like lower her voice a little bit. She'll be like, I'd really rather not have to run into her in the mess hall and everything. You know? So, did you hear me, by the way? I just want to make sure that my mic picked up. Okay.
I suppose, given the nature of your relationship with Tessa and all of that, I understand what you mean, and I would never want to make you uncomfortable, Raven.
Maybe the appropriate compromise is that Tessa's chambers are now the brig, perhaps, and we keep, to the extent, Casper, that you're comfortable with this, perhaps having some kind of guard might be of use as well, rotating. But for the times that she's needed to do the tasks that need to be done, I think we need to let her out for that purpose. And I think it seems like, at least as of right now, that she would be willing to do that.
I don't know, Tessa, and Renori will kind of spin around to face towards where Tessa's at. You made a mess of things. Do you have a solution for the mess?
You address her, and there's the mighty thunk of a collision with metal as she slams her head into the bars, and takes a moment to recover from it. No, like she jumped when Renori said her name. And her breathing kind of spikes, and then she takes a moment. You see her like forcing her breath back down. What, if you would give me the chance, I was already, no. All I've been trying to do, not very well, but what I've been trying to do, is atone for the mistakes that I made all those years ago. And I added that onto your shoulders because I knew I needed help, and that was not fair of me. So, whatever you feel is the best path is what I'll do.
Well, now that all the information's on the table, I'm still on board to help get this task done. Is that the case for everyone else as well? As much as
I brought a great evil into the world, and I understand what I did. And I want that gone. That's all. And you see, as she kind of, she barely can even look at any of you. And now being addressed, she just kind of takes the blanket that Ripley had given her and pulls it away from her and just kind of shoves it to the side. And you see that there's just like sort of scratch marks down her arms, like she's just been sitting here like this. Yeah.
Renori is going to turn to the group. I personally have a really hard time condemning someone who knows that they did something wrong and are actively trying to fix it, especially when it happened prior to having ever known us, and therefore the worst thing committed against us personally was a lie, and one largely of omission. And Renori is then gonna turn and walk over to Tessa and ask, hold out her hand, and ask, may I, she wants to cast Cure Wounds on her scratches.
Okay, you walk up to the bars, and with barely even a whisper, that cage door opens, and you enter. And Tessa has this moment where she almost, like, there's nowhere really for her to go, but she almost scrambles backwards, and then seeing your outstretched hand, just kind of, if you wish.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and cast that at 2nd level.
Okay. It's pretty, you could probably just do 1st level. Like, they're self-inflicted and not deep enough for that kind of, you don't have to splurge.
Okay, 1st level. And so, yeah, that'll be, just a nice little 8 points of healing if necessary.
That'll do it, yeah. You see, those gashes kind of shut, but there are still, like, there's streaks of blood there, but you see them actually physically close up, and she kind of just, thank you.
And Renori's gonna, like, look her dead in the eyes. You are not inherently a bad person, and whatever anyone else in this room says, you are a person who made bad choices, but that is not the core of who you are. Not you. Maybe someone else, but not you. And then Renori will stand and walk out of the little...
So, okay. Tessa kind of just makes this quiet little, almost like a whining sound, and then starts to cry. And she just kind of...
Raven will kind of walk to, like, the corner, and kind of, like, roll her eyes as she does that.
Okay. So to be clear, we're like, are we letting her go? Not letting her go, but you know what I mean. Like, what is happening right now?
I think we probably are letting her out to at least, like, discuss our next move, not in the brig, would be my guess.
Yeah.
As long as she's not out by herself where she can go, do something that we don't know she's doing. I think as long as she's supervised.
Okay.
Faustus is fine with it.
It sounds like... Okay. Sorry. I was gonna start thinking out loud and then my brain shut down.
You're fine.
Because neurodivergent.
It'd be like that. Okay.
Yeah, so if that's the case, Renori is gonna, like, she's gonna look at, like, Tide and Casper and Laurel kind of pointedly because they have chimed in the least. So, you three, what do you want to happen? What do you think makes sense? Do you have a fantastical solution that we haven't come up with?
You're looking at Tide, Laurel, and who else?
Casper.
Okay. I'm letting Tide speak first, yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear me. No.
No?
I don't have an idea.
I feel like my input shouldn't really be center stage. I'm still quite new here. Anything y'all want to do is what I support. You took me in. I'm standing by your side.
Right, well, Casper, you're captain of this ship. This is your home. Your input is kind of a big deal.
Well, and he kind of like pushes off the wall where he's been leaning. Walks into the cell, just kind of stands there looking at Tessa, hands in his pockets. Normally I get final say because it is my ship. And usually we do a vote depending on what the person did. Seems like a vote's been conducted. To me, I have to agree with what Rin said. As much as it fucking pains me, I don't think she's a bad person. I just think she was selfish. So, I don't know. Having some time to think, I don't know if selfishness is a crime worth losing your head. As long as she doesn't try anything, and believe me, I'll be fucking watching. And he casts a glare at her. She can stay. I'm more concerned with and he kind of glances sideways at Raven, but then turns around to face her more fully. I'm more concerned with the personal damage she's done.
You take 5 points of personal damage.
You take 5 points of emotional trauma.
Tessa's rolling death saves.
So, sorry, Casper is concerned about the personal damage that Tessa's done?
Yeah.
In what way?
As in your relationships with her.
She didn't
Yeah,
out
but like,
you.
what, like...
She
Like,
hurt
I
our
mean,
feelings.
I just mean, like, what is he concerned is going to happen?
Oh,
Maybe I'm just not
That's
understanding.
all.
No. He's more basically what Casper's saying, just to summarize where he's at, okay? He recognizes that the stones are world ending, and he's not brushing that under the rug, and he said that last time, right? But he's more of the perspective, because he's in a business of a lot of death, and not necessarily world ending shit, but a lot of death, and a lot of fighting for oneself, so he's not as outwardly talking about the world ending shit. Like, okay, yeah, that's happening. For him, he's saying more of like, trusted her, let her on the ship, and she lied to everybody and damaged some very important relationships with all of you.
Okay.
Casper's like, I want to know what's going on with my friends.
Yeah.
So,
Basically,
what
like,
are you doing? What are you doing here?
No, I'm
What's
not,
your
like,
motive?
concerned. I just genuinely got confused.
basically,
Like,
and Casper may be like on his deathbed before he can actually say this in an articulate fashion, but y'all are kind of like family now, and she just fucking stabbed everybody in the back.
Okay. Yeah, Raven will sort of like make eye contact with Casper and very sincerely just nod, and just will go, I'll be fine.
I know you will. She better watch her back. Get up. And Tessa stands, still kind of pressed in the corner. And then Casper looks back at all of you like, so we're doing this?
It sounds like we're due for Tessa involved, meaning that Tessa would be participating in the conversation about what's next in the captain's quarters.
Alright. And Casper...
Some maps to look over might be useful.
Okay. So Casper turns his glare back towards Tessa, and she kind of shuffles forward. Not even shuffles, limps, because her ankle's still fucked up.
Oh shit, Renori.
It's one of those. It's one of those things that's probably gonna need time. You sense.
Okay.
Damn it. Okay.
I don't think you could just. Yeah, she fucked up her ankle pretty bad.
Okay.
So she, you said you get the sense it's just one of those things that's gonna need time. So she kind of starts limping forward, and Casper walks behind. Everybody's making their way out to the captain's quarters, right?
Take it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Is the mirror still in the brig?
No, Casper has it in Tessa's bag, which
Right,
he's holding now.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to, like, if it was still out, I would have grabbed it. But yeah, then we're just all.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to grab it last week. That didn't work out.
It didn't work out. Make your way up the ladder. Casper takes the rear, and then you all.
What?
Casper, take the rear. Take it from my hands. No one's familiar with Jesus Take the
No, I'm familiar.
Oh, familiar. I'm just concerned about how this became about anal all of a sudden.
I missed y'all. I did miss y'all.
Was it ever not?
Alright, we're gonna take a break for 5 minutes now.
I am. Why? Anyway, you all make your way up to the captain's quarters, and go inside. Casper shuts the door, and it's easy enough to make your way over to the war table. Casper pulls out that large map of Faerun again.
That's covered in tears that are dried now.
Yeah, there's little wrinkly spots on it now, and Casper kind of like runs his thumb over it, but kind of just shrugs it off.
It's like harder to mark things with like the quill and the ink now because it's just like
it'll go
weird.
Yeah.
So the map is now spread out, and Casper's not seated. He's standing at like the head of the table where he usually is, and he just kind of has his hands on the table. So,
Well, we never got the gem from Al-Hasari. Should we just go back?
Oh yeah, go back where we saw the terrifying man that Tessa was so afraid to confront with all of us around her and also her entire city, that instead she fled.
he won't be there. He won't be there. There's nothing for him there.
Well, he wants you.
I know.
Which means he's showing up here sooner rather than later.
That was a threat. Not. Hugo is the kind of person where he makes it known what he wants, and if you don't give it to him, he will play the long con. He's got plenty of time to burn. He's more of a game kind of person. He's not going to go back there. I'm sure he was attacked plenty after we left.
So he's not invincible.
No.
Faust is sort of like fingering the ruby on his dagger. 'Cause
He-
it's still in his hand. So he's not invincible.
Although bolstered by the power that he has, he can be killed and should.
You know what? As much as I really love talking about what we should do next, there is just part of me that can't help but think about...
Getting drunk?
Yeah.
Just me?
Not for
No.
getting drunk.
No, always. Yeah.
Getting
that should
blasted?
That should be soon. Very soon. You know, Tessa, we took on this adventure, this, world-saving thing, not only because of you, but because Istis and Saloon asked us to. So I'm just actually a little curious, now that I see the map and I think about the scope of everything. Did you lie to gods? Or, how did that happen?
No.
Or did you omit the truth from them as well?
Istis knows. But she's... much in the way that the universe is a watch, Istis is the watchkeeper. I cried out for her help after being isolated, uncertain of what to do with the mess I had already made. And she offered her aid, and the consequence was, and she kind of just gestures around. This is not, she knows the truth, and I don't understand her motivations all the time, but she does what she wishes, I suppose. Saloon, I don't know what Saloon knows. I know that I worship her. I know I have confessed my sins to her. I know that I have at one point begged her for redemption, although I'm not quite sure if I deserve that anymore. So I never outright told the truth to either of them, but I don't necessarily, they're gods. I don't necessarily have them just available for a sit down. It's not really how it works. I don't know.
We have to do something to get their attention.
I mean,
world-ending gems seemed to only get enough attention to understand that they needed to be destroyed.
Tessa's eyes kind of flutter shut for a moment. Someone in this room worships her? Istis, or maybe not worships, but is carrying something connected to her? I feel it.
Raven will look down at Wesley, just like...
Wesley kind of shrugs like a crab. Does a crab shrug.
Renori immediately looks at Faustus. Did you steal something?
Just reaches into like a shirt pocket and pulls out the little skull that twists, lets him re-roll rolls, and it's like, would it be this?
That, but there's something else. Anything helps.
Now,
hold on.
Everyone knows
could I
have.
roll investigation to see if something is on my person that wasn't there before?
Yeah.
Or could possibly...
Yeah, you can.
There's a little miniature, this is just tiny and in your pocket. She's like, hello, I've been hanging out with Wesley in here.
Wesley turns into Istis.
My God.
A 24.
I've been Istis all along.
So, Raven, I love doing this because it's so funny to me. Raven, all this time ago, when you were at the temple, and you entered your room...
Oh, right. Yeah.
And spoke to Istis. Istis presented you with a necklace.
She did?
She did. And Istis told you that necklace was one half of a pair that would allow you to communicate with the other person on the other end. And furthermore, Istis told you that the other person on the other end of that necklace was Tessa. And for all of these sessions, I was like, I wonder if Raven's ever going to use the necklace I gave her.
I totally knew that Raven had that necklace. And I totally didn't lose my D&D notebook that had my notes for like 12 sessions in it.
I found it.
Also, I totally wrote that down because I wasn't so wrapped up in the emotions of that I stopped taking notes. That never happened. So Raven's going to she probably wouldn't have worn it, but she's just going to grab the necklace and just look at it like, oh yeah, I have this. Like, one of the things that happened besides me talking to both Saloon and Istis that day was that she gave her this necklace, and she's just going to kind of like present it non-verbally, just like, Istis gave this to me.
Tessa's eyes kind of light up a little bit in recognition, and then her expression dulls back down. She goes, I knew there was another one. And then
Raven will now like fist over it, just like knuckles white in anger. Christopher! Christopher!
Not the government name! Yeah, what's happening right now?
Sarah said fist.
She did. I know.
No. She said fisting it over.
Anyway, just so whimper like. Okay, anyway, she's like pissed because she like remembers that it's like now she realizes it's connected to Tessa, and she's just going to be like, yeah, there was another one. Why do we?
Tessa like reaches out and keeps her hand away from yours, but just opens her hand for it.
Why do we need this? Raven will ask again, like clearly not trusting, just to give this magical artifact to Tessa.
Istis is much harder to reach than most other gods. For the most part, gods are hard to reach at all. I suppose we're past the point of cultural secrets. I had told you about this before, but when I had first been slotted to take rule in my kingdom, I had to make a pilgrimage to prove my worth to my people. And we traveled to a sacred spring across a great desert that if we survive, we are rewarded. And my reward was a sort of heightened ability, I suppose, to connect with the divine.
And you didn't use that to maybe go, hey, I'm accidentally creating these plane altering gems. Can you help me?
That was the only reason Istis was able to appear to me in the first place. A heightened connection isn't a perfect one. The gods are near impossible to speak to. I've only seen Saloon maybe 3 times in my life, and I've been alive for a very long time.
Renori, like, mentally is like, because she sings Saloon, like, way more than that in, like, you know, a very short amount of time. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If reaching out to the gods is your aim, you all are free to try. Prayer may be heard by anyone, but it's what I trained to do. When I found out I wasn't taking the throne, I became an advisor and a religious leader. It's all I've done for most of my life back home, so.
Well, it sounds like Istis is a giant spider sitting in the middle of a web, just plucking at things as they so desire. And
Not.
because of that alone, I would enjoy speaking with Istis. If you know how, that's what I would like to happen.
And also, the fate isn't necessarily a web, it's more like a really intricately put together ball of yarn that the more you zoom into it, the more you realize is not quite as tangled, but it's still so complicated that that's not what
Like a fractal yarn ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Istis is not so. This is Tessa, by the way. Istis is not so. She does not design fate. Fate is this thing that already exists, and she simply maintains it. Fate is cruel, or it can be kind, certainly, both in either direction. We've all faced a certain share of hardship, but she is not maliciously weaving anything. There are certain events that must happen, certain events that can be more flexible, and she does her best to keep things on track. That's all.
Well, then let me put it this way. I will leave the unraveling of what I believe about fate to my personal time. I do, however, see it as pertinent to speak with Istis because, well,
I mean,
we're on this mission not only because of you. She backed you up. She encouraged it as well.
I already kind of have a rapport with Istis. I could try.
Yeah, I mean, weren't you teaching Istis how to talk to people?
Yeah, that I guess when you only observe fate, it doesn't leave a lot of room for social cues.
That tracks.
Somehow, even though she's watching essentially what is just I don't understand how you watch.
Or if I've watched a lot of social interactions, it hasn't made me particularly adept at navigating.
True, that's fair.
I think I understand Istis is a little bit more of a fly on the wall than maybe some of the other gods.
You would be correct.
That resonates with me.
Yeah, I guess practice takes a lot into account. I could try.
If you would like.
Well,
Whatever you all feel is best.
Raven is gonna she's still holding it, and with practice from when she reached out to Mephisto, a lot of reaching out to a higher planar deity is less so of straining yourself as much as it is opening yourself up to them.
Mm-hmm.
So she's sort of just calming herself. She's closed her eyes and she's just gently sort of probing for some kind of familiar. Jacob.
You have to stop with the government names.
I start with probing and then go to fisting, and not the other way around.
And you know what? I think that is a fantastic place to take a break. I think everyone needs to go touch some fucking grass. We'll be back very soon to resume this conversation. Go ahead and stretch, get some water, go pee, take your meds, and we'll be back in a few minutes when everybody has spoken with the Lord. See you soon.
forever.
Okay.
Penis.
Hello. Yep, you got the penis in there. Good job. Good job.
You got the penis in there, huh?
You did get the penis in there.
Was it also probing?
And we'll be right back. We gotta go.
We took a break to unpack whatever was going on with us, and then we came back just as strong.
Y'all were
I got
supposed to
water
touch
and
grass.
my brain was empty. It was just like, you're in standby mode.
Why
Just
does this?
I paused.
Why does this tropical mango hard seltzer taste not like mango, but instead like ass?
Oh?
Speaking of ass,
Ass like affectionate or ass like derogatory?
Not good.
Derogatory. Got it.
derogatory
God.
ass.
Can't have any more of that.
Okay, really quick before we hop back into the game, there's a few things I want to say before I forget, because I'm going to forget at the end of stream. So, a cool thing I just did yesterday, I DM'd a Lord of the Rings themed 5e homebrew one-shot over on, Jude's channel, that's Mermaid Royal on Twitch, for their Pride December event. We're raising money still for Rainbow Railroad. I am not running a campaign on this channel because I don't know what my schedule is for December. This is a really hard month for me. But if you look at my Twitter, I think the tweet is still there. You can go over and give some love and support. They're still doing programming for the entire month. And who knows, I might make a triumphant return. Not sure yet. We'll see. But if you want to watch the VOD for that is over on Jude's channel. Had a lot of fun with Jude, Melee Mira, Critical Bard, and NB Dare, and Fawn and Games. These are all really fun, lovely people. I'm very glad that I got to share a table with them. Also, tomorrow, over on Kristen's channel, I will be DMing Ascension, which is a homebrew one-shot themed in a magic school where the characters have 24 hours to complete a quest in order to graduate. Very, very excited for this. It is for Kristen's birthday, and we are also still raising money for charity. We're going to be raising money for the Trevor Project, so please, 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 if you're having fun here, if you know somebody who would have a lot of fun there, go show up and support and everything, and give Kristen a follow ahead of time because we love Kristen. That's going to be with Kristen, Sarah. Hold on, wait, I'm trying to remember the names. Kristen, hold on, you can't, listen, neurodivergence, just give me a second. This could be with Kristen, Sarah, Crispy Gameplay, and Kitapalooza. I got everybody, right? Yeah, and me, I'm there too. Okay, Kristen, your turn now.
I was gonna say tomorrow's not actually my birthday, so don't wish me a happy birthday.
Yes.
But it's for my birthday, which is next Thursday.
Also, I as a neurodivergent fucking hate getting happy birthdays. I hate having to thank people that I barely talked to for being like, happy birthday, and I'm like, thank you. Or being sung happy birthday. Hate that. Hate being on the receiving end of a happy birthday sing. So anyway, I won't be
Anyway,
Have a day.
Maya, you good?
Anyway, so there's that.
Maya, what's going on over there? You okay?
My thoughts being, or stream elements is being asked derogatory.
Why won't it let you shout out Kita? That seems anti-black. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can fix that really quick before we jump in. I don't know if that's something I can reset on my end. Maybe I have to like give you better permissions. I don't know. Can I do it? Let's see.
I don't understand Strelomix.
Neither do I. Honestly, I just lose it. I use it, but lose it too. You know.
Sarah is
that's really weird.
frozen. Sarah is frozen.
I think that is a Sarah centralized issue.
No, it is. Oh, Sarah's back.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Strelament, but there is Kitapalooza. You should check out everybody. That's who we're going to be playing with. Awesome. Okay, now that I remembered to say all of the words... Oh, and the other thing is we're 5 away from my 200 follower goal for 2022, which is pretty sick. So I'm very happy and thankful for all the people who've come to hang out and all of the people who have shared my stuff with other people who might like my stuff. That's pretty neat. Okay. Hell yeah. Let's get back into it. So, Raven, you are reaching out to Istis. Can you do me a general religion check, please?
I can, because I am proficient at 26.
Okay. You...
And nat 19, 26.
Okay. You are aware that, like you had said, reaching out to God is usually just opening your mind up versus trying to force something to happen. And so you do just that. This is not a holy symbol of Istis. This was just something given to you by Istis. You feel, as you open your mind up, a warm presence. And as your eyes kind of just like flutter closed for a moment, there's you know how like there's colors behind your eyelids sometimes? There's like sort of, they turn almost like iridescent and a little bit more geometric. Nothing else happens, but you do get a very distinct feeling that the goddess you've reached out to sees you and is with you.
Sorry. Repeat the last sentence.
I
read something and that meant I didn't process what you said.
You're fine. I said you get the distinct feeling, although nothing else happens, that the goddess you've reached out to sees you and is listening.
Raven is just kind of like, hey, so like, real quick out of character, why are we trying to even reach out to Istis in the first place?
Well, Renori oh my gosh, I love that. Renori had put it on the table. Hey, wait a minute, Tessa, like, we took this charge, like, not just because of you, but because of Istis, and if you were fucking up royally, like, how did Istis get involved? Why were we looped into this? And
so like we're tattling a little bit?
Well, we're kind of like, hey, Istis, what's like your MO? Like, what the hell's up here? And can you just talk, please? Because everything is chaos and confusing.
Okay. She's just gonna be like, I know you know that there's more to the gems than we were originally told. I know that Tessa says that you took one. I'm gonna need answers if you're hoping that, in your own words, this best case scenario in success continues.
You receive no response.
Please, we just need more answers.
You receive no response.
If you don't want to tell me, you should just tell me that instead of ignoring me. That would be more polite.
You receive no response.
I know you're there. I know you're listening to me. So, should I just keep fucking asking?
Is Raven saying all of this out loud?
No, she's more like thinking the thoughts.
Okay. The thing is, this is kind of like, okay, how do I phrase this? You are not of a sort of divine occupation, we'll put it like that, in the way that somebody like for example, like a cleric or a paladin draws power directly from their god. Like a lot of, like, for example, right, like with you and Mephisto, your access to Mephisto was contingent on your bond. and you're asking a god who you've had contact with and did give you this object, but you're asking a goddess that you have essentially no bond with in that sense to answer you. Very much a needle and haystack kind of situation. Not saying you should be frustrated, but I'm saying like you would also be aware of that with your religion check as you're reaching out with this prayer. You do get the sense that you're being observed and listened to. That is very apparent to you, but you're also, this is a 1 in a million sort of thing.
Would Renori know about this now moving into being a cleric?
Roll me a religion check.
Okay. 15?
Okay. You are very aware that clerics have a profound bond with the deity that they choose to operate under. But being new to clericdom, you're still not entirely familiar on all of the levels that it operates. So, you know, as you're starting to use the abilities that your agreement with Saloon has afforded you, you're still kind of figuring out as far as that goes.
Renori, just like in the meantime, probably like at the same time that Raven is doing this initial reach out, will turn to Tessa. Do you have a direct connection with Istis?
No, not directly. How my ability, for lack of a better word, works is that I've simply been more opened up to extra planar presence in a way. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it's easier for me to get a hold of those specific wavelengths, if that makes sense.
So you're letting Raven go at it over here when you should be the one trying?
To be fair, Tessa did go like reach out for the necklace to try, and then. Oh, are you just being an asshole?
No. Well, no. I never did. Not intentionally.
Okay, I didn't. I'm sorry. I thought you were goofing.
No. Renori is like just trying to clarify, because she doesn't want Raven to keep doing it. Because in Renori's mind, up until she's asked this clarifying question, Raven and Tessa had the same shot at getting it done.
Okay.
They were, equal, like one or the other, it's gonna be about the same odds,
Okay. So Tessa then. It's not a guarantee if any of us does it, even me. How do I put this? I am more vulnerable to those sorts of presences, and I've learned how to reach out to them, and I don't know. It's not something I can guarantee, but that's why I had offered to try in the first place.
Alright, well, if we want the Holy Spirit to activate, then
Holy Spirit, activate.
You should perhaps, let Raven in on this information.
Raven, you'd probably hear her. Like, this is, you'd hear this. It's kind of floating at the edge of your consciousness as you're praying, but you're still in the room.
Just sort of open one eye and be like, I would. And then she'll kind of like look at Tessa and then look at Renori. I don't trust Tessa still, even if she does succeed at this or whatever. I just don't.
You handing that over doesn't mean you have to trust her.
I have a choice in how I reach out to these sorts of beings, which has not always worked out positively, but it is the nature of the gift I was afforded. In my sort of attunement to the extraplanar influences, I can allow those influences to momentarily speak through me. You wouldn't have to rely on me. You'd get to speak to, if she accepts, Istis directly.
Cut out
That-
the middleman.
That would be better,
I
considering I would like to hear from Istis.
I can't guarantee, and like I said, it's not my decision, but if she accepts it, yeah, I would, yeah.
While we're talking about lending aid to this whole getting the Goddess of Fate's attention, I don't know how this would work, and we haven't maybe had this conversation, but this dagger, like, fucked me up when I stole it. And I've got some weird stuff that happens with fate around me. Maybe that could help too, I don't know. And he pulls out, like, a die out of, like, from like, a gamer's, like, dice kit, basically, and rolls a six-sided die, and it's a 6, and then he picks it up and rolls it again, and it's a 6 again. It's just, like, rolls it again. It's like, see, this
Is it just a
this
weighted
happens,
die?
so I don't know if it's
Is it just a weighted die?
That would be the
Raven
funniest.
is just like,
would be
I'm
really funny,
confused
honestly.
as to why this is like a thing. Because like, I think that in Raven's head, she's like, I've seen scammers like have just weighted dice, and that's how they win at games for money and stuff. So she's just like,
No, it's not a weighted die. Chance bends for me sometimes.
Duxie. It is. But she's just going to move on to reluctantly, and it's like very apparent she hates this, giving the necklace to Tessa.
Okay. You hand it over. Tessa takes it. And
If it doesn't succeed at channeling Istis, then I'd rather not have. I need to hear from Istis. So a one-on-one conversation between the two of you is not ideal.
I will do what I
have to
can.
agree.
I will do what I can, but I can't guarantee
I
she'll
know.
appear.
I'm just saying that, like, if that doesn't work, then it doesn't work. We don't try just you reaching out to Istis alone.
Okay.
She hands it over.
Tessa takes it, and around her wrist, she has a very simple silver chain with the same sort of orb that kind of has like an iridescent shimmer to it, like a pearl almost. And she unclips that, and she lays the two things together. And then she looks at you, Faustus. Could you just move a bit closer? I might be able to use your whatever influence fate has with you to make the connection stronger.
Steps closer.
Okay. And then she passes her hands over the two necklaces, closes her eyes, and those symbols up and down her arms and legs begin to glow. And she starts murmuring in Elvish, just like a general prayer, nothing really that speaks out to you specifically, a general prayer to Istis. And the two pearls on the table begin to glow faintly as well. Faustus, you feel a sort of, almost like a magnetic effect, nothing like super physical where you feel like actually pulled, but just sort of that, like a sort of drawing presence starting to come from Tessa. And she murmurs for a good while, and then you see her just kind of sit back and then look up, and when she opens her eyes are these like pearlescent just planes of iridescence. And when she speaks, it is not her voice, it is Istis's voice, which you recognize. So, you called.
Yeah, I tried.
I heard.
And decided not to pick up?
It is incredibly difficult to pierce through to the mortal plane. I am much more distant than the other gods are.
Fair.
I tend to, when I can, respond in action.
So speaking of action, let me tell you our reaction to some information that we've found out recently, which is that Tessa has both lied and omitted a lot of really important information about these stones that we're tracking down, per also your request. So that is why we've asked you here today, because Tessa created these allegedly world-ending stones, and now we're cleaning up her mess, not only per her query, but also yours. So I'm just a little curious as to why we're doing this and you don't just, fix it.
I understand the frustration, but it's simply not that easy. Certain events must happen. How they happen can at times be flexible, but certain things are ordained. I am doing my best to keep fate going in a way. This is the path that is currently operating. Tessa, in this version of events, has brought these stones into the world and could not handle on her own taking them out. You all joined the fray, and now you are on this path. It is not so easy.
I understand you can't change certain things, but I think what maybe might help us is you have a rather broad knowledge of the threads of fate. Is there any sort of, as it were, a peek behind the curtain you might grant us to help us on our way? We are a bit at a loss of where to proceed next and how to trust and work with someone who's been so dishonest. And by that I mean Tessa and to a certain extent you, Istis, because you knew this information and withheld it from us. Did you not?
I understand. There are certain things that I simply cannot share, no matter how much I wish I could. The more that you know about where the path leads, the more certain decisions change things. I can only see to a certain extent myself. What I can do, however, and Istis in Tessa's body, I'm just going to say Istis for clarification so nobody panics. Tessa's doing things. Istis takes her hands and kind of like threads them together, and then when she pulls them apart, almost like a Jacob's ladder of white thread that shimmers like the eyes, just kind of pulls apart from her hands. What I can do is offer a different branch. I am supposed to remain neutral because if I don't, the entirety of fate itself could collapse. If I start making...
We're your favorites.
I cannot deny that. So what I can do is offer this. I can make a change. I cannot tell you what the consequences of that change might be because I will not know for myself. And she takes her hand, and these threads kind of just flex around her hands as she weaves them, and then she extends, and across the table, one of these threads just grows and then disappears into an indefinite point in the room. If this is your current timeline now, I could always adjust your course and you see another thread peek out from that one that she's just created. Certain events must happen, but they might not have to happen the same way. There will be consequences, but it could open a few doors forward for you.
That's
What
probably better than what we have now.
But are you sure about that? Because the minute we go down an alternate path, we could all just die.
I will
We could die
say,
going down this one.
though your distrust of me is earned, it is not always easy being neutral in these sort of things.
Can we know what changed?
I can tell you that. I just can't tell you where it would lead.
What changes? Do people not know I'm Spider-Man anymore?
Oh my god.
I was waiting for one of you to do that.
Stop interfering with the spell.
I was waiting for one of you to do that.
No, stop.
I'm so glad this is happening before the movie. Anyway, I know we have the trailer, but at least it's before the movie. I could still get away with this.
Yes.
Hello, Disney.
Disney, look, call off the snipers. It's fine.
Marvin's on the line. Let me talk.
Hang up.
They're sending the mouse.
He can't know.
Yeah, Kevin's also on the line. I'm going to know what do you think you fucking invented alternate timelines?
Your time's fucking up.
It's gonna be real bad now, guys.
So you thought you could take my plans?
You thought Mr. Toad's ride was wild?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, I laughed so hard I have a headache now.
Oh no. Okay, enough.
Toad's ride was wild.
We're gonna do this all day. Okay, listen. It's just, with the, Crispy!
Oh no!
Oh my god! They missed the Mickey joke! Just when I decided, they missed the Mickey joke. No.
Missed our Mickey Mouse impression.
Oh, by the way,
The only one that's wild.
Thank you,
ignore
Crispy.
them. Please ignore them. You have to be a follower for 10 minutes in order for the chat function to work for the protection of the community. So
Thank you. Yeah.
if you could stick around to show us those bunny butts, we'd really appreciate it in 10 more minutes.
Yeah. Every time I think about taking it off, something fucked up happens. I have to take care of it behind the scenes, so we're just being safe. So if you're here and you're new, really quick, hi. My name is Dauntless. You've probably seen me in Crispy's chat because I'm a mod. We're also here with Kristen, who's one of the mods, and Sarah's, who's a wonderful community member, as well as Chris and Jake, who are also wonderful community members. We are here playing Stormborn's Curse, which is a 5e homebrew adventure that I have written. It's been going for a while. The VODs are over on my VOD channel. If you do ! VOD, I don't know if one of my mods can do it for me right now. You can catch up with us. If you're just joining in, you can feel free to stick around. We're a little ways into the story, but I think you'll still have a fun time. Crispy, really appreciate you. I hope Gardic was good. Take care of yourself. We love you. And speaking of Crispy, because I said this early, tomorrow I am running a homebrew one-shot called Ascension, in which the characters are students at a magic school and have 24 hours to complete a quest in order to graduate. And Crispy is actually one of our players. If you've been hearing him talk about this fucking phenomenal RNG character that he made, that's who he's playing tomorrow. So if you want to tune in for that, it's Crispy, Sarah, Kristen, and Kita Palooza over on Kristen's channel. We're raising money for the Trevor Project. I'd really love to see some Brew Crew members over there to help support, because it's really going to be fucking incredible. Oh yeah, the follower thing. I'm like, no big deal. 200 followers by 2022 would be kind of sick. Just saying. Not a big deal. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, we're jumping back in because we just came back from break. But I hope you either stick around, find your way back. The VODs are, like I said, all on the VOD channel. And we love you. Thank you. Crispy, take care of yourself. That's a threat. Okay.
I will shit on this floor right now if you don't take care of yourself.
Sarah, that's a threat to me. You are threatening me. God damn it. Okay.
I want to get banned from Twitch again.
Again. You're gonna get timed out for
sorry.
8 years
The
now.
first time it was an accident, but then...
Was it? Was it though? Anyway, um, so
What were we even doing?
it's
Oh, yeah,
we were talking.
This ride wasn't the only one that's wild.
That's where we left off.
Yeah. Eddie, we're talking to Istis
Who does not sound like Mickey
About-
Mouse.
to describe
He's about to
because
tell
she's
us
the
what's gonna
goddess of
change.
fate.
Where we're at
about to
now,
have this
If you
alternate
could change your fate,
reality.
would ya?
Would ya?
where we're at right now, our wonderful party had a while ago trusted a certain party member who has now betrayed them, and they've decided as a group for her atonement to be to help them save. I'm trying to describe this in a way that's not spoilery for people who want to catch up, so just being aware of that for anybody before anybody chimes in. She made a mistake. That mistake could cost the material plane and all of the lives on it. And her atonement is going to be helping to save the material plane, which she already was going to do, but she's also in a way atoning for that lie of omission as well. Finishing
She also
what they...
needs our relentless competency to help get this job done, because we're all really good at
Yes.
stuff.
So right now the party has reached out to the goddess of fate, Istis, and she is offering them a solution because they're a bit stuck right now in the moment of what to do and what to go forward with. So her solution, which is what we're going to get back to right now, is not necessarily a do-over, but an alternate path of fate, which is where we're going to pick up really quick. So Istis has taken her hands and woven the sort of Jacob's ladder out of iridescent thread and extended one across the room to show you where you are now, and then another that branches off in a different direction. I can tell you what the event I could change is, but I can't tell you the consequences.
Yes.
Like I said, neutral party, but I am... And her gaze kind of lingers on Faustus for a moment before it sweeps back over all of you. I am especially partial to you all. So,
And Raven just lean
Faustus
over to
ranking-
Faustus, just like, have you had sex with this? Like, just really low under her breath.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's a goal.
wouldn't it be a goal for you? I mean,
Not that.
I think that's pretty much
Anyways.
classic D&D, trying to bed the gods, right? Or at least a dragon.
it is for me. Anyway, before we don't need to unpack.
Dragons, after all.
All right. See, this is why we need to touch grass on our breaks, because y'all come back like this.
What if we touched the grass and it made us more?
Well, Kristen, we know. We know.
Finish the
Chris
sentence.
hasn't talked in
So long.
Okay, anyway. So, coming back to Istis, fate is an intricate design, and there are only so many things I can change before it breaks. But I see a part I could swap out.
Please, yes. What part?
The stones always come into existence one way or another. And one way or another, someone always must destroy them, or group of someone's, for this example. What if... And she opens her palm, and this kind similar to the pearls that she gave you on those necklaces, you and Tessa, this it kind of almost like a bubble forming appears above her hand, and you see on the surface just like a series of images that flash through. You just see like almost like a rewind, but you see what Tessa was describing to you when she was talking about making the stones. You see her and Elian, younger with shorter hair, leaning over the body of a corpse, essentially, of a man that looks strikingly like both of them. You see Tessa kneeling in the sand and Istis standing in front of her. You see what looks like a forest, very similar to where you just were, dying and in disrepair, nearly consumed by shadow. You see a number of other images that flash just a bit too quick to get a good read on. What if your, perhaps friend is a strong word, wasn't responsible this time around? What if what she had lied about was actually true, and the planes, in their volatile nature, had actually collided? What if? And bear in mind, this would not so much as change the past as it would the future. What if the stones had come about naturally? That is the best offer I can give you. You will still have the stones that you acquired, and the moment this takes place, you will still be in the same place. It will just change your route forward.
Will we know?
If you would like to. Or I can... If you would like to, you may remember that this happened. Or I can provide you the... Hold on. I can provide you the chance to continue forward as if this was always the way things were meant to happen.
Do we all have to choose the same thing?
No. But understand, you will never get the timeline back that you leave should you make this choice. If you carry memories of an alternate reality, it's no longer your reality.
I would like to embrace the Nelson Mandela effect and keep my memories, but I am on board to do this. But I want to remember.
It would be a roll of the dice. And to answer your question, Raven, I'm just going to answer it out of character because this has happened before just with Saloon. And Tessa was aware of what was, like, the conversations that are being had while she is possessed, essentially. She is aware of, she simply can't speak. Oh my god, are you frozen like that, Sarah?
Yeah.
That's so good! I just realized.
I hear you though.
I just realized you weren't moving. That's so good.
I thought you were just in deep shock.
I just realized you had blinked for like a weirdly long time, and I was like.
That was just Sarah.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past me, but this is just a technical glitch.
So good. It's so good.
It's frozen on my end too, so I'm just staring at myself like that. Anyway.
That's so good.
It's sort of scene setting, is it not?
It really is. It really is. It's so
I was
good.
past this tree number 4 yet again. Yeah. Would Tessa know?
Oh, you're asking Istis?
Yeah.
She will also be afforded the choice. She can't verbalize it to you, but everyone must make a consensus one way or the other.
I'm not going to tell any of you what to do, but I think the rest of you should probably forget.
What?
It seems like this whole affair has caused many of you a lot of pain. I think it would be better to forget, don't you?
What do we forget? Do we forget everything?
Your timeline, everything that has happened up until now, unrelated to our friend's mistake, will still be reality, and you'll remember it. You'll still be here on this boat. And she kind of looks around like...
Where are we?
Like, what's happening? This boat.
Don't talk about the Seahawk like that.
I've never been on a boat, to be fair.
Is this boat called
Well,
the
it's
Seahawk? I
amazing
totally
and
forgot.
respond and treat it with the reverie it deserves.
My
Raven will be like,
apologies.
"Yeah, it's the Seahawk."
The Seahawk. Right.
Her name is Seahawk. Seahawk.
I so badly just want to try restarting my camera.
Not Stacy.
You can restart your camera if you want, but I think it's hilarious.
It is. I just.
Restart your camera. It's okay.
Okay.
We'll wait for you. 1 sec. See if we get you back. Oh no. Oh, we got spinning boxes of death.
It's the spinning boxes of doom.
Oh no. Sarah, if you could hear us, just go ahead and drop out and come back. It's fine.
I don't think she can.
This is worse. Sarah.
Hold on, folks. We're fine.
Come back.
Everybody might, like,
we
explode
go, there we
for
go.
a second. Oh, yep. Alright, she's coming back in a second. It's fine. Nobody look.
Where are you guys?
Hi, bestie. No luck on the
Oh
camera?
my god, Discord. I'm going to cry.
I bet it's Discord, honestly.
Probably Discord. Okay.
It might be where if you drop the call and then like kill Discord in Task Manager and reopen it, it might have like an update or some BS, because that's usually what happens to me.
I'm gonna type that because I don't know if she can hear us. Yeah. Ben, come back. Oh goodness. And now my Discord's frozen. Okay, there we go. We're good. It's fine. I was like, oh god, not me too. Okay, while we're waiting for Sarah, because this is obviously, I want to make sure Raven gets her input in this conversation. How are we doing, besties?
I'm having a full-blown crisis now.
Mm-hmm. I also just want to, like... let me just finish what I was saying with Istis, but I'm going to say out of character and then re-say it in character when we get Sarah back. Basically what she's saying, certain events are going to change, because, like, butterfly effect, the things that would be directly affected by Tessa's mistake would change. But not the general things. You would still find the Seahawk, y'all would still be together and be friends. You'd essentially just have a new feature starting from here on forward, and parts of your history would change. Not your personal history, but like the history of you all coming together. And what she's describing as well is that when Tessa had lied to you by omission, but you know what she was describing of like, I need you to come together to destroy these things that have magically appeared here, would be the actual truth. Right. So it's not like you wouldn't know. Kristen, alright. Kristen.
It was how I looked on stream.
What?
Alright. Sarah, hi bestie.
Hi, I'm gonna try to turn on this camera again. I'm gonna cry.
If it doesn't turn on, just rejoin us one more time and just without your camera. It's okay. I'd rather have you here than not at all.
Okay.
Can you, like... You're using a webcam, right? Oh? Oh?
Yeah, I can hear you. The camera's not gonna work. I hate everything.
That's all right.
That's okay.
Okay, we'll keep going.
We can-
anyway.
Nice. We can hear you.
Very good.
You can hear us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 50% of my humor is my face.
I know, and I miss
Oh my
it.
God.
I'm so
Well,
sad.
hey, new challenge. Audio only medium. Make us laugh just as much.
You could do that. You can do that. You can do that. The amount of times you've killed me over text, you can do that. You've got this. Okay.
So, wait, Liz, can you say that again about how we will be changed?
Yeah. Out of character, and then I'll just repeat it in character so that you have a word choice to go off of. But out of character, what Istis is describing to you, essentially the major facts of what has already happened are going to stay true. It's just the stuff that would be affected by Tessa's mistake is what would change. You would all still meet. You would also come together on the Seahawk. Renora, you and Casper would still be together. Your bonds would remain the same. But what would change is essentially what Tessa had described to you when you'd first met would actually be true. That the planes would have collided, causing the appearance of these strange stones, and now you have to hunt them down before they tear apart the material plane. That these are things that happened once every few centuries, and it just so happens it's happening repeatedly now. No longer the result of one person's colossal fuck up. A natural cause from overtime.
Okay. So that's what we would also understand in character.
Yes.
Well, okay.
You would understand in character that what Tessa had told you is true, that these are creations of the planes colliding, which you all have some awareness that that is not an untrue statement. Like, that is a kind of thing that does happen. But you have no idea what the consequences of accepting this offer might be on the future. You just know that, like, you understand that that would be the truth.
And so we also understand, though, that, like, we all still would have met. We'd all still have, like, these relationships.
Yes.
We don't have to retcon our own backstory.
No, nothing.
Like that.
The only thing that changes is essentially Tessa's connection to the stones. As soon as Istis does this, what she's saying is from this exact moment, from the moment you all accept, is where things change. And the only elements of your past that change are connected to how the stones came about. That's the only part of this complicated watch-like construction that is fate that she is able to really change that would benefit you. What's up, Tide?
Would this not change the ending of our time?
Oh, in Alhasari? You cut out for me. Okay. I like read your lips on stream, so it was like perfect. Okay. You don't know. You just know that what she's saying to you is, in essence, you don't. So you know, you get the sense it probably would somehow. It's just that whatever connections, it's the stuff around the stones that is changing, not the stuff around you.
Renori's gonna look at Faustus, who spoke up, suggesting we all forget, but Faustus remember. I don't really know how much good it does of absolving Tessa of this bullshit if we remember that she fucked up on a different branch.
I
But then
also...
Oh,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Raven's face, ever since the explanation, has just been extremely grim. And it's just like, I also want to remember, because I understand that in this coming reality that Tessa wasn't actually involved, but I know I wouldn't, if I didn't remember, nothing would change. But I don't want to forget this. I wouldn't want this new version of me to continue pursuing anything with Tessa, so and she swallows.
Then quite frankly, I don't see the point.
I think the person it most would benefit is Tessa, which I'm okay with.
I'm fine.
But
Istis kind of speaks up for a second. Bear in mind, as partial as I am to you all, I don't particularly have an interest of sparing anyone of any personal conflicts. That's not the point of this decision. What it is, I can only do so much for you. And this is the change that opens the most doors without wrinkles, swapping out similar parts, so to speak. If your hangups are personal, then I'm not sure how much of a service I may be to you. Looking at the grand scheme of things, this is the best door to open.
If we want to open a door.
If you do. Like I said, you don't have to accept this offer, but once you decline it, you'll have moved past the point where I can offer it to you again.
I think the question we should all ask ourselves is which choice we'll make for each of us individually. Remembering or not remembering, what will make it easier for us to move forward and do what we have to do?
I just want to ask a follow-up, though. If we pick to go down this other branch, but most of us want to remember, does it really benefit Tessa at all if we all secretly remember this atrocity she committed on this branch and are pissed about it and don't want to have that sort of relationship with her? Does that help at all? Because it feels
I
like we
think
can
it
still
is most
complete.
conducive for Tessa's growth as an individual to have this wiped away, but for myself, I don't think it is. I think it's important that I remember.
You remember and we go down this new branch, or we just keep going where we're at?
Do you see many doors open now in this branch?
Yes.
What are they? I see mostly closed doors where there are doors at all.
Well, like we stated, we still have business back at Tessa's home.
But we might not.
Yeah,
See?
one of the stones was created when all of Al-Hazari was slaughtered. If Tessa never created the stones to change that, then that stone wouldn't exist.
But-
Sorry, right?
But shouldn't she also create stones before that event?
Yeah,
So,
but that wouldn't change the fact that
it might.
people
It might.
are we really willing to risk that? People are alive now.
Well, how do we know that destroying the stones won't kill everyone at all? Sorry. And reverse what was done with them?
We don't.
Right.
That's true.
I am primarily thinking about what is most likely to increase our chances of success in obtaining all the stones and destroying them. I don't like our odds right now in this branch, personally.
I'd rather.
But I'm
remember.
a bit of a gambler, so I'll take a roll of the dice over a certainty of a bad road ahead.
Faustus Istus gives you a little bit of a smile, and that you feel like just this that sort of magnetic presence that was happening when Tessa was praying, just like a pulse of it happen again.
I agree that we should try this new branch. I think where I have an issue is whether or not we should remember.
I would rather remember, simply because I would not want to put so much of myself into. I understand that it wouldn't be this case, and that if I don't remember, that everything can be fine, but I don't think that I want that.
A reminder. When you accept this, there are no two realities. There are one. You would be
I
remembered.
understand.
It's just saying this to everybody because this keeps coming up. Just saying. It's not to you specifically. there would be no two realities, there would be one. Everything that you would remember would have never happened in the first place at all. And you can never return to this branch once you make this decision. None of it that happened here, even if events happen similarly or perhaps unfold identically to how they did this time around, the consequences of those events on a global scale will be utterly different. If you choose to remember, and you start going about the world with the consequences and thoughts and ideas of a past life in your mind, that will be on you to carry. But it will not be true.
I'm fine.
Look, I don't want to pressure anyone in any particular direction. I just want to be clear. My mind is already sort of a soup, and so I'm all right with keeping it that way, with maintaining memories of two timelines. But there could be some unfortunate side effects for everyone else. I just feel like for myself, I think it's the best path forward for my journey, I guess you could say, to keep them. But I would advise, personally, as someone who's experienced having my head fucked with, I would advise not remembering. But that's up to you all to decide.
Renori's gonna turn to Tide. Tide, I know you're kind of quiet sometimes when it comes to stuff like this. I want to know what you're thinking. I mean, do you need us to explain it more?
Tide is smarter than he looks, Renori.
No, it's not that. It's just that's... never mind. I'm confused, is what I'm trying to say. But I still want to know what Tide is feeling about this.
I don't want to forget.
But do you even want us to branch off in the first place?
It doesn't matter to me if Tessa was responsible or not. I don't care either way, because ultimately it's changed us, and I can't afford to go back to who we were before.
I'm on the same page as Tide, by the way.
Okay. The rest of you?
Renori.
There's Faustus, Raven, and Tide have decided. The NPCs will decide after, for my sake, so it's up to you.
Oh shit! I'm the one.
The NPCs can go first if it would help you, but yeah, you're the last player to make a decision.
I am having such a conniption. Okay. Renori will walk over to Casper.
Okay.
And she'll stand in front of him and, like, make grabby hands for his hands.
Aw,
to,
he gives you your hands.
And she, like, squeezes them really tight and is, avoiding looking at him for a little bit and then makes eye contact. The idea of changing things terrifies me. Because I've worked so hard to end up where I am now that I'm afraid of where I'll end up somewhere else. Even if it's only one specific thing changing, I can at least try to account for what my future looks like in this branch. Because I'm living in it, I've lived in it. But if I suddenly jump into somewhere new, where something's changed and like Istis said that the consequences of that change we can't know ahead of time? Why the hell should I take a chance like that when I have everything I want right here?
I'm not going to tell you what to decide, Rin, because you don't need me to do that. But what I will say, no matter what changes, this will always be. Not even fate could change that. No matter what you decide, I'll be right here. It's whatever you want to do.
I mean, you're really romantic, but you're a little full of shit, because, like, fate could probably change stuff, but, like, I appreciate it. That's really cute.
Yeah, that's not as tight as he is definitely rolling his eye.
Rin, fate is powerful, but you know me.
Yeah, you're a cocky asshole.
He looks over at Istis, and he just kind of gives her a look, and she just kind of shrugs.
Renori, what part? So,
yes.
I would be comfortable with either. I also am a little attached to this as well. I also have changed a lot and would want to continue to be true to the changes that I've gone through. I don't know.
I know that Istis is saying what changes is only Tessa's involvement. I get that. I'm not suddenly gonna be a different person. I know that I'm not suddenly gonna have blue hair, and I am not suddenly gonna be on a different boat.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the color blue.
That's not what I meant.
No, I know. It was a joke.
Okay, bad timing.
Sorry.
Not now, Raven. But the fact that I have spent my life accounting for what will happen in this future, and now I will be living in a different future, whether or not I'm fully cognizant of that in that new future or not, I'm cognizant of it now when I'm making this choice, and it feels shitty every single way you slice it, but I think we should try the new branch, and I want to forget.
Is there anything at all that you would want to, I guess, have us guide you with?
Well, I mean, the only thing I would be forgetting is that Tessa was ever involved.
True. Is there anything tied to that you would still want to, I guess?
You know what? I don't really like relying on other people. I don't want to forget.
Okay. Raven is laughing at this like sudden 180. She's just like, okay, that's totally fair. I understand. That's part of the reason why I don't want to forget either.
Faustus just lets like a big sigh out.
Yes,
You all have very
Faustus.
valid. You all have very valid reasons. I would just seems like all three of you maybe are carrying a lot more pain from all of this. I would think that you'd want to be able to let go of that, but that's up to you.
Raven will smirk, and although Renori was like, now is not the time for jokes, she will go, well, at least all of our minds will be souped together in this new reality.
I don't wish that on my friends.
I just don't particularly like being out of the loop. So I don't really want to be the one person who doesn't remember.
Are we coming to a consensus?
I'm in. But
So
I want to remember.
We're all in and remembering?
Yeah, I think that's what we all want.
Okay.
I feel like we're gonna do this, and Tessa's gonna want to remember too now, and it's just gonna that's Faustus's concern. It's just like, damn it, I was kind of.
You won't know.
Maybe I shouldn't have voiced my choice.
You won't know.
Said, oh yeah, sure, this will be fine.
You won't know.
We'll never
You
know.
just know that a decision will be made.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, Tessa, while Tessa is hosting another consciousness, Tessa cannot voice that concern or what her decision is, so you'll know that one is made.
Can you hear what Tessa wants? Because this heavily involves her as well, if we move forward.
You all...
I don't really think it matters. Does it? We've been making all the choices for Tessa so far.
That's true.
Why do you care now?
Well, I'm just curiosity. One, and would it even my confusion is, would it even matter, considering we're going to a reality where Tessa never did these things, and so it sounds like, although it's not like we're meeting a new Tessa, that's the closest way I could think about it.
It's not... you're not meeting... Nothing... Okay, you would be... Once this happens, you would literally be picking up from this moment. You've already met Tessa. All of you are together as a group. Everything that's happened so far, like the major stuff, you've come together as a group. You went to Towering Reef to get that half of the stone. You went to the island and things like that. There are going to be parts of the past that change, but major events are not changing.
No, I understand that. I think that what my thinking is that, would this decision, I guess since Tess is here, like, she'll know about it, and so like I would imagine, like, for instance, Boomstick isn't here, right? So Boomstick doesn't even get a choice of whether or not she retains the memories from this timeline, right? So
you don't know.
Oh, we have no idea?
You know that Istis is asking those of you in the room right now. You have no idea how it's going to affect anybody outside of this room.
Brain.
Istis is offering those of you present this deal.
Entrusted by the goddess of fate with saving the material plane. I think that we have the authority to make this decision, because it's really on our hands whether or not the material plane survives, is it not? So
yeah, y'all are the main characters. So everybody else, no matter how much you love and care about them, are here to support the main characters.
I've been told I have main character energy.
Yeah, you have protagonist energy.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be the comedic side character relief.
Okay. Alright. Alright.
Just the okay kind of made me feel sad. Can't lie.
Alright. Because as if.
Raven's just gonna shake her head, to like literally kind of attempt to shake some of the headache off of her. And she'll just kind of be like, fine, let's hop into this new reality then.
And okay. Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
Thank you. You can't see if I'm like opening my mouth to continue.
Yeah, I know.
Pause,
There's just
so
silence.
I get it. I know. I'm trying to channel Raven's actual verbal pauses.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. She'll just kind of be like, I love you guys. And tears are pricking at her eyes a little bit. In this reality or the next. And you're the people that matter to me the most, so let's just do this.
So we're all going forward and everybody's remembering? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. Casper and Laurel are in the room.
Faustus was just going to say real quick, just out loud, just to the person standing in front of him who is not Tessa but Tessa, just say, Tessa, you better fucking choose not to remember for your own sanity. Just, that's all I have to say. I know you can't respond, but I hope you can hear me. You better fucking choose not to remember. And then just go silent.
Okay. Before I go to the other two people in the room, Istis's form kind of shudders. And you see where her eyes, which are these just like flat pearlescent expanses in Tessa's body, begin to well up in tears. And then it just kind of almost like melting pours down her face. And it's really weird to look at because her facial expression doesn't change. It's that sort of cold, lightless eyes neutrality, which you've begun to associate with Istis and her form. But her body is shuddering in a human way that you know could only be Tessa. Laurel speaks up first. Today has been a lot of me being given a voice where I was not expecting to have one. And I have to say that for all that I've been through in my life, that this is the first time I really feel like I've had a voice and I've been able to use that for good. I really appreciate y'all. And maybe it's a stupid decision, but I think I'd like to remember too. When I came on this boat, I understand I wasn't in a very good position, but I've seen now why. And I've seen the kindness that you showed me and the trust that you afforded me. And I can understand how not easy that was to give to me. And I don't want to go back to a place where I never received that kindness from you, even if it's promised again in the future. That matters the most to me. I really respect y'all. So, I'd like to remember too. And, Casper kind of sighs a little bit, looks at you, Renori, looks at everybody else. I don't know what this man would choose. So, in the true respect of what we're doing here, I'm going to leave it up to fate. I'm going to leave it up to fate. What Casper's decision is. Let's see.
Also, I want you guys to have a picture of this. Bella is like fully just all on top of me. She's just like, are you sad?
Oh, baby. Yes, please. I need a picture.
Adorable.
Okay. Casper sighs. I don't have much of a story. Most of it is holes. And,
Sexy.
well, normal... God damn it, Sarah.
Yeah, Raven did not say that.
Chicka bow bow.
Well, normally, I think knowledge would be important to me. I tend to hold on to this kind of thing. And I think that if I remembered it, I couldn't promise that on her next mistake, I would be clouded. And I think I owe everybody who's a part of my crew, my family, essentially, I owe them a blank slate. And I know I could not do that if I held on to this. And he kind of looks at Istis and goes, you swear that when you change this shit, that's it. There's no other way back. There's no back door. This is it. And Istis gives him a solemn nod and goes, then I think I'm going to forget.
Renori's gonna look up at him, and there'll be like some tears like misting her eyes, not because she's like, no, you should remember. Like, that's not the vibe she's giving off. The vibe she's giving off is this whole situation scares the shit out of me. Like, I don't like any of this. And she's just gonna look up at him. I'm scared.
Casper puts his hand on your cheek, kind of brushes away some of the tears. Can he kiss you?
Yeah.
He kisses you.
Did I answer that too fast?
A little. It's okay, though. He kisses you. And he leans his forehead against yours for a moment, and he goes, I know, but no matter what, the most important thing are the people in this room. Especially you. And we're all going to still be together. And I trust in that. It's going to be okay. And he gives you a kiss on the forehead, and then he looks at all of you and he goes, I hope y'all understand how much it means to me to know that I could give up a memory and that you'll still have my back. And gives you all a nod of respect. And you all look at Istis. And her eyes kind of look over all of you.
Raven grabs the hands of the two people standing next to her.
Okay, I imagine you're probably close, like, in between Faustus and Minori. Honestly. Actually, no, you're not. I think you and Tide are closest. Like, I think you would be, like, between Tide and, Laurel, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll grab Laurel's hand. It's not the most ideal partner, but
Oh my
like,
god.
I mean...
but she'll do it.
Okay. Istis looks at you all, and then she takes that thread that she had kind of extended across the room, and then she wraps it around her wrist and pulls it back in, and it sort of goes from the tension of rope to just sheer putty in her hands as she pulls it inwards, and then she takes it, flattens it out, weaves her fingers through it again, and then she's holding this sort of glowing just net of thread between her fingers, and she looks at all of you. She goes, and so it shall be. From this moment on, your reality shall shift. And as she's speaking, the thread begins to glow brighter, as like she's speaking it into existence. From this moment forward, your reality shall shift. Tessa will have no longer created these stones, but they will have been a natural event. And as such, whatever consequences of that may unfold will be. You all know each other, having met. And from the moment that this change enacts, we will pick up in this room. But it will not be the same room. Reality shall change, and it will do so permanently. This is the best I can do for you, and sincerely, I wish you luck. The room begins to glow with this almost blinding white light. Raven, you clutch tight to Tide's hand and Laurel's. Minori, you kind of lean into Casper a bit and he holds you. Faustus, You're chilling.
Faustus grasps his dagger and
Okay.
he's rubbing that ruby in the pommel.
Okay.
And as the room brightens and the goddess is doing her thing, right before the moment where it happens, he just jerks his hand forward and just like touches the threads that she's messing with.
Okay. You feel a surge of...
For flavor, because he's got sticky fingers.
I figured. You feel a surge of electrical energy kind of pass through you, something crackling and a bit foreign. As the room begins to white out. Can you roll me a wisdom saving throw?
Sure.
Raven has her eyes clenched tightly shut, so she would not see this happening, which is
Okay.
wild.
Okay. If I use my stone of my little skull of wait, go back, re-roll,
Mm-hmm.
do I have to take the second result?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, do I want to take this or do I want to re-roll it?
Faustus about to-
Gamble, bestie.
And such is the gift of fate.
Re-roll.
No.
I'm gonna re-roll it.
Okay.
Fuck.
Oh!
Is it worse?
It's so much worse.
Oh no.
That is a wisdom save of 4.
Okay.
Oh.
The room completely whites out. And we'll talk about what happens when we return.
Oh
Yay.
my god. I hate everything. Is this how it felt when Raven was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be a warlock anymore?
I love Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I love being a
Dungeons and
DM.
Dragon.
I do. I love being a DM. All right, and that concludes episode 19. I am so happy and proud of our wonderful little group here. This is a major fucking decision. And we're going to see what happens next episode. Now, what I would like to say, I'm going to say, first of all, thank you, Crispy. I don't know if you're still hanging out, but thank you for the raid. If you came over from the Brew Crew, thank you for hanging out and sticking around. And if you like what you got to see, you can catch up on the other episodes from the very beginning. Production quality is a bit oof, but the story is and has always been there. So if you like what you saw today and you want to catch up to where we are now, all of the episodes are over on YouTube, with the exception, I think, of the most 2 recent episodes, but those will be going up some point this weekend. Got a lot going on. Okay, also tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, right, Kristen? Am I a good memory?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern over on Kristen's channel, which is twitch.tv/KristenHouse. No spaces. I will be DMing a homebrew that I wrote about where all of our characters are in a magic school and they have to complete a quest in order to graduate, and they have 24 hours to do so. Very, very, very excited about this. We're going to be raising money for the Trevor Project to help LGBTQ people in need. If you want to pop over and hang out, we got a hella killer crew over there as well. And Stormborn's Curse premieres every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We just started a bit late today because I am a scheduling goof. But 8 p.m. Eastern every Friday over here. Very excited. I hope you guys will stick around and come back next week. As always, my players, I love you guys so much. And we will all see you.
Discord won't be mean to me.
Discord will not be mean to you, Sarah, next time,
Don't be
because
biphobic.
that is very biphobic, and we don't support that here. So next time we'll be able to see Sarah for the whole time, hopefully, and we'll see everybody's wonderful faces. All right, I love you all. Please go get some rest. I know I will, and I will see you guys next week. No, tomorrow. Oh my god, I can say that now. Tomorrow. All right. Bye.